As mobile operators plan for deploying in far-flung areas in the country, the lack or the limited supply of power proves to be a big hindrance. While we've tried to innovate and find our ways around this problem, there is no denying that we do have an energy crisis. We also have a challenge of going green and reducing our carbon footprint. This panel will deliberate on some of the issues that this sector poses. For the discussion, I invite the following members on the dais. Mr. Hemant Joshi from Deloitte, who would be the moderator for this session. Mr. Bimal Dayal, Chief Operating Officer, Indus Towers. Mr. Abhay Bharanpurkar, Senior Solutions Architect, Symphony. Mr. Abhay Bharanpurkar, Senior Solutions Architect, Symphony Telesia. Mr. Parag Harolikar, Director Business Development Head, M2M Business Tech Mahindra. And Mr. Dinesh Ranjan, Principal Consultant and Head, UK Smart Metering and Smart Grid Practices, Wipro Technologies. Welcome, sirs, to the first panel discussion. I now invite Mr. Hemant Joshi to deliver the opening remarks and commence this panel.
Welcome back. I have a little disclosure to make. I was supposed to be on the panel, and the Bimal was supposed to lead the discussion. But then quietly I changed it because I thought it will be worthwhile for me and for all of you to listen to Bimal answering questions rather than asking questions. So this is a disclosure I'm making. We have a very interesting panel here, and what we are going to do is look at some of the issues in the telecom sector, the energy issue in the telecom, and the energy issue in the country, and the role telecom can play. So, can you run that? Anu? So as we go through the panel discussion, we will have some data points. Can you correct? Yes. So as we go through the panel, there will be some data playing in the background, and we can make a note of that, and then in the light of these data points, we can ask questions and get involved with the discussions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Bimal set the stage by giving an overview of what are the issues and challenges we have in this sector, and then we'll pass around and get different perspectives. So over to you, Bimal.
Thank you, and good afternoon to you all. It's a pleasure and honor to be here. I think it was a fantastic opening session delivered by a few of the entrepreneurs, the delegates which came in as well. So it was absolutely perfect base for this discussion. But before we go into the topic itself, let me kind of introduce myself, then the company I work for, and then I would possibly try and elaborate the problem and the scale of issues and opportunities thereof, because I think it comes in pairs as well. So my name is Bimal Dayal. I work currently for a company called Indus Towers. My designation is I'm the Chief Operating Officer. 25 years of experience in telecom sector. I've started my career with Tata's, then I was with Ericsson for a long time, and then with Qualcomm, and now I'm with IndusTowers as well. So just to summarize my experience, enterprise business, active cellular business, handsets and devices with Qualcomm, and now I'm sitting with passive infrastructure countrywide. So that would be my experience. Also, my educational background. I'm so happy to see the budding entrepreneurs or youngsters who would be contributing to our society in the near future. I am an engineer myself. I have done my law as well, and wasn't too long ago, I suppose, I was in your shoes. So that excitement still sort of brings butterflies in my stomach. So that's my background. I work for a company called Indus. Indus has been actually spoken in the media for various different reasons as well. But one of the reasons Indus Towers has been spoken about is that it is a unique model. The model is wherein three large competitors in, let's say, the telecom space have started to collaborate for various different reasons as well. And one of the reason being to cut the costs and to bring in optimization in their spending as well. And one of the spending is energy. So Indus Towers is a 42% investment from Vodafone, Airtel, and 16 from Idea. And if you believe, they are fighting at this moment for airwaves, and we've been reading every day the rates have been going up. It's something which government is happy about, but the sector will probably be under stress. So it's been a Harvard study as well, how companies come together, but that's not the topic of discussion today as well. So let me give you the scale first. We as a tower industry, we sit with roughly 340,000 towers across the country. Indus has a contribution of roughly 112,000 towers with roughly 250,000 tenancies, with all the customers probably sharing those towers. We have a energy bill of roughly $1 billion, or 5,000 crores is what we actually spend only on energy. The split has been changing for good between EB and diesel. We actually end up spending, we started with a ratio of 60-40. Now we have a ratio of 40-60, and I think this is very, very seasonal and unpredictable as well. So the scale itself is divided into the numbers, the territory, the geography, and I would say some sort of lawlessness where these sites are also kept as well. Now,
one important thing you forgot to mention, and I think it's worth recalling, Indus is the largest tower company in the world.
Thank you. So thank you for even pointing this out as well, that it's been a very humbling experience as well to work for a company with this scale. The nearest tower company is probably half of Indus's size in terms of sheer numbers as well. Now, I think the challenge here is around the geography. So I think it is important to bring out some sort of numbers of people who are actually associated with this industry. We probably would be, at any given point in time, we would be having roughly 30,000 people associated, working with only with let's say Indus Towers as well. So let me in very few words try and bring out the challenges we face, and then we can open up the discussion as well, and over to you from here on. I think the problem we sit with here currently is the rising energy cost. The power availability, I think we can speak endlessly about power availability and the quality of power in this country. pilferage and environmental issues are existing, and I think where these sites belong, they are more or less unguarded as well. And of course, green is a testimony to, let's say, the industry's responsibility as well. And I can vouch for Indus and entire tower industry here, that each company is very, very responsible and would like to invest very responsibly to make sure that all the norms which the government are actually trying to bring up are fulfilled. However, one needs to always bring in a factor of viability. And anything and everything we do, and I think it was a brilliant opening remark earlier around what we do we understand the customer's needs and then start to see, are we generating value? Anything which is subsidized is only ephemeral, which means it won't last for long as well. So I think green with its viability is one of the key challenges. I'm happy to discuss more. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. So can we have the slides back? Yeah. So let me just put some data points. You look at the energy consumption per we have per capita in if you compare Europe and India, the data points are very, very significant. The transmission losses, and look at the data point that by the year 2020, ICT based solutions can help cut down the emissions by 15% and save over 600 billion euros. I think that's a very, very interesting data point. You see the gap we have between the demand and the supply. And you know, he mentioned a lot of data points. I'm not going to get into it. To meet this gap, the country will need over 500 billion investment in power generation in the next 20 years. And we'll come to these solutions. So with this sort of perspective and the background, I will request Abhay to sort of what he perceives to be the problem, and within the telecom sector and in the country where telecom can play a role. You know, we can start with the problem identification and definition, and then we will see solutions and what can be done.
Okay. So good. Still, I think good morning to everybody. And myself, Abhay Brahanpurkar, and I am part of the Symphony Teleca Corporation. And let me give me a little bit background. My focus is basically to lead the Internet of Things into energy, healthcare, and the industrial automation sector. So just to give a step back and give some background about the drive towards the challenges or the innovation in the utility sector. One of the things that we discuss is the rising cost. Maybe it is a construction cost or a generation cost to the distribution cost. So that is one of the challenges. Another thing that we see movement is specifically on the greenhouse gas emissions and the carbon emissions, and we talk a lot about the carbon emissions today. So there is some drive towards innovation in that area. Third thing is the regulatory compliance. As we also discussed or heard that there is a lot of unavailability issues. So one of the thing and regulations that needs to happen is in terms of the reliability aspect of the availability and the security of the electricity. The fourth thing is basically how we can fill the gap. We also discussed that there is a lot of demand, but there is no energy available. So how the renewable energies, like whether it is a solar or wind, can be made available, whether there are policies available to generate and also contribute to the grid. So that is another challenge that I see. And the last is that today, if you see, there are many devices lying around for the utility infrastructure which are quite old in format. So that is where the challenge and the innovation is expected from the utility side. Now, in terms of the telecom, what are the challenges? Of course, it needs to address so many devices. So from the utility perspective, they are expecting a better First of all, coverage, how we can improve the coverage of the devices that they want to monitor. Second thing is that the utility needs some support, some independent management support, whereby these services can be managed, or they will have a better service mix from the telecom, and I think that is something that we need to understand. Third thing is that we need to come up with a better revenue model, and we saw that it's not only the investment but also return on investment that really we can bring into the table, and that's where I think the telecom will have to play a role. And finally, if you see, the utilities themselves cannot manage this huge problem. So how telecom can come up with new business models and therefore engage the end customer. Right now, if you see that there is no engagement between the consumer and the electricity board, you just give a bill and forget about it. So how we can engage, how we can educate the end customer either through telecom or some other means, and I think that's where the telecom player can play a lot of role. And we heard about the use of mobile phones, how they can be useful, and I think there is a lot of things that can be done, opportunities can be done. And of course, the end consumer, like how it will get benefited, whether it can really save money, whether it is a small consumer or a small business unit. I think in the Indian context, that is more important, and I think that is what the telecom should address today.
Thank you. May I have a request, Dinesh? Dinesh is from Wipro, and I will let him introduce himself. But can you sort of help understand what is the problem? And we'll see the solutions later, but if we can, have a clear sort of definition or, articulation of the problem, then perhaps we can address the solutions.
Sure. Thank you. I've been with Wipro for a while, on and off, and I've basically worked in the energy and utility space. I'm also an engineer from COP, right down the road here, and I'm glad to see a lot of engineering students at this session. Thank you for the wonderful opening. It's a pleasure and it's an honor to be here and seated on this dais. When you look at utilities, especially energy utilities, because utilities can be water also, there are 4 aspects that they try to address in order to get the supply of power or gas to the doorstep of an industry or a home. The first is, do you have enough production or generation? The second is, do you have enough capacity to carry it to that location? Do you have thick pipes? Do you have high stressed wires? The third, and one of the most important ones, is how much penetration do you have? So for example, in a lot of rural India, you can see a transmission line going not more than a kilometer away from the village, but there's no distribution substation that serves that village, right? With all this, you have the concepts of reliability, safety. So what happens when there's an issue, there's a storm? How quickly can you bring things back? So these are the challenges that a utility faces in being able to deliver or keep the lights on, as they say. Now there are many solutions from the utility industry perspective. What we call as distributed generation, what we call renewable integration, what we call as capacity markets. And I won't go into those terms. But what I want to point out is that for them to be able to work successfully and solve problems in these areas, you need a lot of control and a lot of data flowing back and forth. And where does that come from? That comes from telecom. So in the past, we've seen, almost 4-5 decades ago, telecom played the role of, let's say, providing a fiber network for a SCADA system for a utility company. Then you went on to see, providing data service for smart metering alone. And I don't know if you've seen the news, but around a month ago, there was a refrigerator that sent 200,000 spam emails, right? So there's a security aspect. If a refrigerator can do that, then somebody can turn off a substation. It's that critical. So we want to move to a place where we can use distributed generation, where we want to use renewable energy, we want to use capacity, rerouting and automated control, but we want to do it at utility grade. We cannot do it at the same level of security or reliability that say WhatsApp requires or your email or your browser requires. So that's the challenge. Can telecom step forward and deliver this utility grade connectivity control to enable these mechanisms for utilities? So I think that's where the challenge lies right now for utilities, for telecom industry.
Yeah, thank you, Dinesh. I think very good comments. Can I request Parag? How do you see the problem? And if you have to identify the two key problems which need to be addressed in this space, I think it'll bring focus.
All right. Thanks, Hemant, and thank you, CII and MIT School of Telecom for inviting me. Good morning, everybody. It's always a pleasure to see everybody here, and I think I see a few familiar faces. Brief background on where I am, what I do. I work for a company called Tech Mahindra. Some of you may be familiar with it. I'm based out of Sharda Center here in Pune itself. I'm a local Pune guy. I'm in this company only for about a year now. And my job and my responsibility is machine-to-machine, Internet of Things, what have you, business development and sales and so on and so forth. So Internet of Things and what we are talking about here, to some extent, smart grid, etc., is all part of what I have to work on in some senses, or at least sound reasonably confident in terms of talking about, right? So my previous life, I spent about 16, 17 years with AT&T in the US, and I've just returned to India with Tech Mahindra now. Now, in terms of actually the question you're trying to look at, so I look at it in a very operational kind of way, because that's how I like to see things. So the key problem in my mind is how do you actually operationalize this, right? So Bimal talked about Indus Towers and the 1,000 number of towers. In fact, funnily enough, I'm actually working with a European telecommunications company right now, which has about the same number of towers, give or take. And their energy spend in this, let's call it the telecom infrastructure part, is exactly about that much, $1 billion US, right? So I think this is a unique solution. It's not unique to India, for example. It is ubiquitous, I was going to say, was the word I'm looking for. So I think the problem is operationalizing. How do you actually save energy in all of these areas? Right? You can have sensors, you can have wonderful devices, smart meters and stuff, but imagine, Indus Tower didn't deploy 100,000 plus towers in a year or 2 years. It took multiple years. Now, if I have to go out and deploy smart meters or devices, those sensors and fuel sensors, what have you, in those many towers, it's not going to be a 5-year job for me. So it's hard for me to scale a business case like that in some situations, in those types of things. It takes, roughly, I'm going to calculate some number. You can correct me if I'm wrong. It takes about, give or take, about $1,200 to $1,300 of equipment to have a cell tower completely monitored, for example. So those are some of the things that we need to change. So where is the business case? If it's going to take me 10 years to deploy 100,000 towers, how can I actually scale this thing up, right? The other problem is energy consumption is going up. Somebody told me the other day that LTE equipment compared to 3G equipment is 8 times more power consuming than obviously the 3G equipment, and 2G even more so, right? Is that somewhat in line with your numbers as well, give or take? So I think those are some of the issues, and we can also talk a little bit about how telecom can help in some senses the other parts of it, the smart grid part of it, for example.
Thanks. I'll come back to Bimal. Bimal, I think it's a fairly well-known data point that the tower industry is the second largest consumer of diesel after railways in this country. And I think the challenges are you don't have enough power, and then it's remote, and it's not reliable, and so on and so forth. The way sometimes it is very odd that you see an energy industry and a tower industry emerging, and how do you address these challenges? And in the light of the global issues of carbon footprint and moving to energy security, what are your thoughts? What could be the solutions?
So Very, very topical actually, and we've been at it for years together now on this one. Firstly, we as an industry or IndusSTARS as a company, we have no business to be in power generation in the first place. If you guys are putting up DG sets at your own house, you start to generate power for yourself. Obviously, you don't want to do that, right? And we are thrown as an industry into a state wherein we have to generate lots of power, and it has been a fact for quite a long time now. So having thrown into this problem, I think we all need to look at it as an opportunity as well, that the baselines being defined, how can we reduce it? Irrespective of the government norms, etc., I think it's one of our value and we have to get this thing done. So relentlessly, year on year, we have been working on solutions. Now, if I were to divide the solutions into basically two parts, one is diesel, which is possibly a bad way of generating, however, the biggest solution available, and second, overall energy consumption reduction. So I think these are two different quadrants in which the industry and Indus has been working on. So I would pick up let's say the biggest topic of diesel itself as well. Just to give you some numbers here, let's say between last year to this year, we've actually managed to reduce almost 76 million liters of diesel consumption only for IndusSTARS as well. 76 million liters, and this is extremely significant because we are taking the costs out of the system. How do we do it? We started 2 years back a project called Green City project, wherein we started to say we will not fill diesel. We will start to look at secondary storage as one of the solutions. We were very successful in places where EB is stable and available, so we started to declare cities green, wherein we will not fill diesel on those sites. We started to monitor those sites very, very carefully, and we met with great success. Having done, let's say, 6 or 7 cities, starting with Ahmedabad, and I can get into any amount of details on this one, we said, okay, let us not look at city-wise, but let us look at green site. And we started to convert our sites from diesel consuming regular sites to green sites, which means we will not fill diesel on those sites as well. We started to concentrate on secondary storage, large battery banks, etc. Requires lots of investments, but we actually did that. Happy to inform, we are sitting with almost 34,000 sites which are actually green sites. We went to the media, we told them that this is our Indus carbon footprint abatement program as well.
Amazing.
And last year, Barcelona, this project actually got the Green Award for worldwide abatement as well. So, from there on, thank you. We also looked at, and there are multiple such projects which I can speak of, but now I would like to do justice towards actual consumption reduction, which means we haven't managed to reduce consumption, but we have actually started to utilize or power our base stations differently. In our consumption reduction this year, or the current financial year, we took up a huge project. Now, if you start to look at energy consumption on a site, almost 35 to 40%, depending on the type of site, it could vary from 30 to 40%, is the requirement coming out of cooling of a site. So we run large air conditioners because electronics needs lots of cooling, etc. And we started to realize that we actually cool the room for a small equipment which actually sits out there as well. Inefficient. This is how we've been used to rolling out networks as well. So what we started to do with collaboration with our customers, we started to convert most of the sites into outdoor sites, which means we will actually remove the air conditioning, we would move the equipment out and obviously provide some kind of natural cooling for the electronics to sustain. happy to report that the kind of reductions which we have seen on consumption, I think I can throw some numbers here, but it's actually mind-boggling numbers which we've managed to retire almost 30,000 air conditioners out of the system as well. Obviously, this has been a very, very joint initiative with other